Mr. Barak, you have signed this letter along with many people from the Israeli security establishment. What is the solution that you're now proposing?
Put an end immediately to the war. This is a war of deception. It has nothing to do with the security of Israel or its interests. It's about keeping alive the coalition and Netanyahu, because the day the war is over is day of reckoning. It's immediate acceleration of his criminal court case on corruption, and quite probably sent him out of power. Of course, the main objective of putting an end to the war is to bring all the hostages back home and start a new chapter. I think that after almost 2 years, based on the exceptional achievements of the Israeli intelligence and defense forces, both in Lebanon against the Hezbollah, in Syria indirectly, and mainly in Iran, we can afford from positional strength to put an end to this war, to bring back the hostages, open new chapters, trying to replace Hamas in Gaza by another legitimate power, which will be legitimate in the minds of the international community, in international law, by our neighboring partners who are basically in peace agreement or Abraham Accords with Israel, and by the Palestinians themselves. That's the only way to defeat Hamas.
But Mr. Netanyahu is talking about new military orders, and the Trump administration, both Trump and Marco Rubio, have been talking about stepping up the military action. How are you going to persuade them that that's wrong?
First of all, I have to tell you, and I hope it will spread among the world leaders, not just TV stations, Netanyahu and Israel are not the same. People might be great supporters of Israel, genuine interests, its future, identity, whatever and security, and be against what Netanyahu is doing. It has nothing to do with our security. And somehow Netanyahu succeeded. That's the reason that Trump the administration is backing him, so to speak, at least temporarily. They are quite hectic administration. But basically, Netanyahu manipulated them to believe that we are facing a binary choice. Either we capitulate to Hamas, which is unacceptable. Israel has a compelling imperative to make sure Hamas will not reign over Gaza and cannot threaten Israel from there. So he described it as either we capitulate, which is unacceptable, or we will have to reach absolute victory, total victory over Hamas, which in the case of a terror organization living within its own population, some 2 million people, you cannot have a absolute total victory. The only way to defeat Hamas and answering the compelling imperative I've just mentioned is to make sure that we allow another entity that will be legitimate by all, including Palestinians themselves. So it cannot be a British or Swiss or Norwegian entity. It should be Palestinian entity. And the third option, the one that Netanyahu ignored for day one, is on the table from the first days, namely to bring in an inter-Arab force made of Egyptian, Jordanian, Emiratis, countries who are in good relations with Israel, backed by majority resolution in the Arab League, and if necessary, UN Security Council resolution backed by the United States, and bring them for 18 or months or 2 years, and establish a technocrat government in Gaza and Palestinian bureaucracy with certain relationship with Ramallah. And the Israel should put only 2 conditions. Number one, not a single person who participated in the massacre of 7 October or was a member of the military branch of Hamas can take any role in this new entity. And second, Israeli withdrawal at first to the perimeter and will withdraw finally to the border only once the pre-agreed security milestones are met. And that's a simple solution, acceptable and possible, and for some reason it is not on the table right now.
Now, the international aid agencies and the UN agencies say that Palestinians in Gaza are starving, and they are starving because of Israel's actions, and that there is famine now unfolding in Gaza. What do you think is Israel's responsibility for that? And do you think the Prime Minister should face war crimes investigations?
Look, I had been in my career, I was commander of the Israeli Armed Forces. I was its Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Defense for a long time, and Prime Minister. So I cannot, I am not going to kind of make a decision about what happened just by watching TV or reading some reports. I think that the whole thing demands a thorough investigation by establishing, first of all, in Israel, inquiry committee. Israel should hold itself for much higher standards than Hamas or any other kind of third world player. And we have to investigate, because what we see over the screens doesn't leave any doubt that there are people in Gaza who are suffering major hunger and major immediate need for food, and that ultimately we, Israelis, are responsible for whatever happens there. Of course, don't misread me. The entity at the top of the causal chain that led to all these tragedies are Hamas by its barbarian attack on Israel on October 7. But even having this barbarian kind of attack with mutilated people, killed, babies murdered in front of their parents or vice versa, and abducting some 250 people, mainly civilians, that's a crime, and they should be held responsible for it, deserve all the punishment that they got. But we don't have or should not have an issue with the Gazans. Most of the Gazans are not Hamas. They are human beings who are probably don't think positively about Israel, but we are not supposed to intervene in their dreams or thoughts. They deserve food. They deserve medical treatment. And if we are responsible for it, we will have to, first of all, discuss it among ourselves and put those who's responsible, put them out of power. But it's too early for me to pass a judgment before a thorough investigation will take place, including the witnesses from both sides.
Just finally, you say most of the Gazans are not Hamas. You've also talked, drawing a distinction between people in the military wing of Hamas. So do you agree that there are people who are in the civilian infrastructure of Gaza, who perhaps work in the health ministry or other ministries, who are working for Hamas, but are not terrorists? Do you draw a distinction?
Oh, well, for sure, I draw a distinction. I said whoever was a part of the armed branch, not just the fighters, also the launchers of the rockets or the spokesman. Anyone who belongs cannot be his Hamas. He held responsible according to his own kind of crimes or whatever responsibility. But it's clear that if I say a government of technocrats, we cannot control their thoughts, their ideology, or their dreams. I don't ask whether the best sewage engineer or the best electric engineer should be ministers or the best doctor. I don't ask what is his ideology, what he believes in. I ask what he is doing if he did not participate in active armed branch activities. Probably I don't like him, but he's relevant. He could serve in such a government. We are not against people having their views, and we cannot control it anyhow. We want to hold those who were responsible for the massacre, including civilians who joined the massacre after the first wave of Hamasniks. They should be held accountable, but not the rest of the 2+ million Gazans who probably don't like Israel, and we probably don't like them, but it's not up to us, not up to them. They are human beings. There are certain self-evident rights that they have by just being born as human beings.
Ehud Barak, thank you very much.
Thank you.